This is my first podcast ever, so bear with me. My name is Gina. Today I'm going to be talking about A Court of Thorns and Roses. Bum bum bum. This is like one of my favorite book series ever. I am currently rereading it because I read it last year, and apparently there's going to be a sixth book coming out, and I'm pretty excited. This is like the only series I've read from Sarah J. Maas, so I'm planning to reread this series, and then I have the first Crescent City book. I'm going to buy the rest, read that series. I think there's 3 books in that series, and then I'm going to read the Throne of Glass, or Throne of... Yeah, I think it's Throne of Glass. There's a bunch of books in that series, but I'm going to buy all of it, and I'm going to read it, and then by the time I'm done with those, hopefully I have a confirmed date on the next one, and then we all can read it, and we can all talk about it, and that'd be so sick. So anyway, today I'm talking about ACOTAR, the first book. I'm hoping you read the book, because I'm just going to be talking about my opinions on it, some key plot points, but I'm not going to dive too deep into it, you know what I mean? I'm just going to give my opinions. It's not my favorite book of the series, so this episode might not be as long as the next one, but yeah, I understand why it's not my favorite. She has to introduce the world. But the second book just feels like it's written by a completely different author, you know? It's just so much better. I love it. But the first book is a classic, you know? Without it, if there would be no ACOTAR, there'd be... It's the beginning. You have to like it. So anyway, our main character is Feyre. Her poor family... She's basically taking care of her poor family. She hunts and feeds them, and she kills a wolf. And after she kills the wolf, she's confronted by a fairy beast named Tamlin. And then he gives her the option of she must either die or come to Perinthian. So she chooses to live in Perinthian, which is like the fairy realm. She lives in the human realm with her poor family. Her family used to be rich, but then her dad made some bad investments, and then the debt collectors came and broke his kneecaps, basically crippling him, and the older sisters. Yeah, this is something that irks me a lot. She's the youngest sister, and she's the one fucking taking care of her whole family, and Nesta's the oldest sister, who's just like, oh, I miss being rich. I miss it so much. And then the middle sister is Elaine, who in my eyes is just not a thought behind her eyes. Probably just a fucking... Wow, I need to stop cussing. She's probably just dumb, you know? She's just... All she wants to do is plant flowers. She kind of ignores the fact that they're poor, doesn't do anything to help out. Nesta hates helping out. There's like a whole fight in the first book about her cutting wood. After Feyre comes back, she's like, why isn't there any wood cut? I was just out hunting all day. Why isn't anything done? And Nesta's like, oh, my bad. Like, you're just so much better at it than me. You're just so much faster at it than me. And it's just annoying. Like, as an older sister, wouldn't you want to help your little sister? Like, she shouldn't be out there hunting. You should. I'm an older sister, so that just makes me mad, but whatever. There's a lot of problems I have with Nesta, and it's going to take a lot of character development for me to even like her again, you know what I mean? So anyway, it turns out the wolf she kills is a fairy beast, and a fairy beast named Andrus, and his friend Tamlin, the High Lord of the Spring Court, comes and is like, you must come live out your life in Perinthian because of the treaty, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, fuck, I guess I will. And so she, like, goes, and before she goes, I did like that her dad was like, Feyre, if you ever find a way out of this, do not come back here. Like, do not come back and take care of us. I was like, okay, that's a W. Like, that's nice of him, but that's all she wants. That's all in the first book. She's like, I cannot leave my family alone. I made this promise to my dead mom. Like, on her deathbed, the mom was like, Feyre, you have to promise me you'll take care of them. And she did. And, it's shitty. Like, why didn't Nesta have to do that? You know? It's just ridiculous. And it also, like, mentions that Feyre likes painting, and all she wants to do is for her sisters to get married off, and then she can just live in the cottage with her dad and paint all the time. I was like, oh, that's wholesome. But whatever. that happens. She's in the spring court now. And then she like, Tamlin isn't that ugly. But there's like a whole curse and a blight. Like the whole spring court is trapped under a curse, which is like weakening Tamlin's powers and everyone. So like this happened during a party and they were all wearing masks, and so they're all stuck wearing the masks because they can't take them off. Like Lucian is one of Tamlin's friends. He's like also a high fae. There's like different levels of fairy. So high fae is like the more powerful fairies, and Tamlin and Lucian live in the spring court and they're both high fae. And all the other fairies who live in the spring court are just regular fae, and she's just human. So she's there, and so Feyre learns that Tamlin and his court are stuck under this curse, and it can only be broken under very specific conditions tied to love. Spoiler. She has to basically fall in love with Tamlin and admit that she loves him. She doesn't do that because during Calamai, which is like a mating ritual, another guy, she like, so, okay, I'm gonna break down the mating ritual, Calamai. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. But, basically Calamai is once a year, like, Tamlin has to mate with someone to, like, repower the power. Repower the Spring Court's power. Just so he has more power in the land. It's kind of weird. I didn't really I understand it, but I don't know how to explain it. You know what I mean? So he has to basically fuck to get power for everyone. You know, it's weird. And so she's like, Tamlin was like, you have to stay in your room. Stay in your room. And Lucian is Tamlin's friend. And Feyre and Lucian are getting closer. At first, when she first got to the Spring Court, Lucian was like, we have to kill her. Why is she here? Like, fuck this bitch, she killed Andress. Like, get her out of here. But anyway, they've gotten closer. And anyway, Feyre, like, hears the drumming, dun, 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 of the Spring Court, like, tradition at Calamai. They're, like, all drumming and shit. And she's like, it's begun. So she, like, snuck out of her room. And she's over there. And then she, like, gets in some trouble with some other fairies. And then she says she, like, turns. She, like, feels someone holding her arm or something. And then she turns and hears, I've been looking for you, and it's like the most handsomest fairy she's ever seen, and I'm just like, this was gonna come in later. Cause why would she say that after, like, why would she even think that after being with Tamlin? And they do such a good job at making you like Tamlin, making you think that she wants to just be there. All she wants to do is paint, like, she doesn't have to earn her keep or do anything. Like, that sounds like you've got a mate, girl, NBA wife level type shit. But anyway, like, she's got it made, you know? So anyway, the next day, the most beautiful fairy she ever seen comes, and then she learns about the curse, and she gets sent back home, because Tamlin's like, it's not safe for you here in my court anymore. So she gets sent back home, and then when she gets home, she learns that her sisters were all, like, mind controlled into thinking that the Feyre was out with their rich aunt who was dying or whatever. So and they're rich now. Like, Tamlin, like, made them rich, and they're all, like, taken care of. But Nesta, being the stubborn, rude ass bitch that she is, she's like, no one can change my mind. I know what happened. Where were you? And apparently, this is one thing I was like, okay, maybe she's not the worst sister ever. She, like, went looking for her. She, like, got to the border, and she couldn't get across, like, the fairy power wall into Perinthian, into the fairy lands. But she did go looking for her. I did like that. But basically, Feyre tells her everything. And she's like, do you love him? And she's like, yes. And she didn't say that she loved him. If she would have just said that, I love you, Tamlin, it would have literally broken the curse and everything would have been taken care of. But she didn't say that, so she's like, I have to go back. Anyway, so she goes back. And then she crosses into Perinthian. I don't know, she, like, found a gap in the wall or whatever. And now she's in the Spring Court, and then she gets taken under the mountain. and then she like faces the wicked fairy queen Amarantha, who rules under the mountain, and basically she has like all the power in Perinthian, and she's like evil and holds like a bunch of people under the mountain, which is basically like a prison. And then Amarantha's like, you must undergo these trials and make unimaginable sacrifices to save Tamlin and the whole fairyland. And Tamlin's just, this is where I was like, what the fuck? I was mad. I thought he was like under mind control or something. Tamlin basically does nothing to help her at all. Literally nothing. He's just standing there and he's like, I can't do anything, I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? Kill her? Impossible. I was just like, what the fuck? Why is Lucian... So, like, during the first trial... Let me get into the trials. I'm gonna pause it so I can find it. 1 second. So basically, the first trial is the blind worm. So, Feyre is basically put in this, like, maze covered in mud, and there's, like, this huge worm, and she has to kill it. But the worm is blind. But it's gonna, like, eat her. And, basically she kills the worm by, like, finding its, like, bone pits where, like, eats the people or whatever. And then, obviously, there's, like, leftover bones. So she, like, sticks the bones in the mud, basically creating, like, knives. And it, like, guts the worm. It's sick. But, like, during the trial, like, she's running through this maze. No one's doing anything to help her. And Lucian from the Spring Court screams, to your left or to your right or something like that. And he gets apparently beaten for doing that. And, like, why isn't Tamlin doing anything to help her? I was just like, if you love her so much, why are you letting this happen? You know, why aren't you trying a little harder? And anyway, so she kills the worm and then throws, like, her arm's all fucked up. It's, like, broken. And she still throws a bone at Amarantha, and Amarantha's like, and then she's, like, like, the second trial. Okay, let me talk about something real quick. So she's all in the dungeon, all, like, dying, because her arm's, like, infected, and she has a fever. Lucian hasn't come by to see her. Tamlin hasn't come by to see her. Who comes by to see her, huh? The most beautiful fairy she's ever seen, Rysand. So, apparently, Rysand is, like, Amarantha's whore. Like, he's, like, her second in command, basically. Why is he there? Why is he helping her? That's just so weird to me. Great storytelling, Sarah J. Maas. 10 out of 10. I love it. Anyway, he offers her this, like, bargain. Basically, if you promise me a week out of your life, or he said, like, a month. Every other month you have to live with me. And she bargained it down to a week every month of her life. Like, I'll heal your arm. And she's like, deal. Like, what else was she supposed to do? Die? So, she makes this deal with Rysand, and there's, like, this huge tattoo that, like, comes up. And, like, people describe the tattoo, like, swirly. I can see it, like, swirly lacy in my mind. And then, like, an eye in her palm or whatever. I'm like, that's sick as fuck. I wish I have, there's, like, some cool fan art out there, but, like, nothing has, I need to, like, get into Procreate or something, because nothing is translated over to how I imagine it, right? Like, I see a bunch of cosplayers just draw a bunch of swirls on their arm and, like, a cat eye, and I'm like, that's cool, but that's just not how I imagine it. Anyway, everyone knows that she made this bargain or whatever, and Tamlin hasn't done anything. And then, like, help her, bro. Like, I don't know, it's weird. So anyway, that's the first trial. She's healed. And, like, in between trials, there's, like, these parties. And Rysand, like, has her covered in paint. And then he's, like, flaunting her around. Amarantha's okay with it because apparently Rysand's doing it to make Tamlin mad. But he's, like, not touching her inappropriately. He's, like, being very polite. But he makes her drink this fairy wine, which basically makes her forget everything. So, in his eyes, in my eyes, I was like, he's doing her a favor. Because, like, she's probably going through a lot, but, like, is forgetting it. Forgetting it would be nice, you know what I mean? whatever. I don't think Ryzen is that evil at this point. I'm like, is there a love triangle going on? You know, I was just like, this is interesting. I don't know, I love this book. But it's not my favorite. It's not. Okay, and then, anyway, the second trial is a riddle. And I didn't mention that if Feyre, like, solved... So she's basically given 3 trials, and then if she solves a riddle, everything... Or if she solves a riddle, everything would be solved. So she got given the riddle. She hadn't solved it. She's like, I don't know. So she's stuck doing the trials now, right? So the second trial is a riddle inscribed on a wall. But then Bryson's like, fuck, this bitch is illiterate. Like, everyone's like, shit, she can't read. And what was so crazy about this trial was that Lucien was involved. Both of them were going to get crushed by some spikes or whatever. And Lucien can't help. And Lucien's like, oh my god, I'm going to die. This is the cringiest part of the book, though. Let me tell you why. She's like, there's like these levers. And she's like, I'm going to choose the second lever. Because there was only 2 people. Just like me and Tamlin. And I was just like, wow, this bitch, that's what's making you choose the second lever. You get frustrated reading the book during this trial. But Ryson uses his powers and helps her solve it and saves her and Lucien. And everyone's like, what the fuck? How is she doing this? Amarantha's like, what the actual hell? Like, she's doing it. She's beating my trials. Actual fuck, she's probably thinking. So anyway, the third trial comes. And she has to kill 3 innocent fairies. And they're like, I think they have like a bag over their head, so like she doesn't know. So she takes the first bag off their head and she kills the first one. And she's like, I killed him. That's awful. Anyway, she kills the second one and she's like, oh no. And then she like takes the bag off of it. And she was like, I'm gonna kill myself. I can't kill another innocent fairy. And apparently they're like young too, so she feels guilty. And then she was gonna like turn the knife and kill herself, but then she takes the bag off and it's Tamlin. And then she like thinks and she's like, what the fuck? But she like remembers something Alice told her about Tamlin having a heart of stone. Like, Alice made one comment and she like remembered it, so she stabs him. And Tamlin's alive, obviously injured, but alive. And Amarantha's like, no way, she did it. Feyre's like, yeah, I did it. And then Amarantha's like, I said I would for you, but not when. And then she's mad. And then she solved the riddle. She's like, I feel like in the book it's described, I'm getting loud, I'm sorry. In the book it's described like Amarantha's like, I think she's like levitating her or something. I could be completely wrong, but she's like breaking her bones. I imagine this kind of like the Stranger Things, you know, when like Max's bones were getting all fucked. And she like solved it. She's like, the answer to your riddle is love. And then everyone's free. The power's everywhere. Ryson goes and I think Ryson kills her. Like, why is Ryson killing her? Right? Hold up. I'm gonna pause this and make sure I'm right. I was wrong. Ryson did not kill Amarantha. Tamlin did. But not before Amarantha kills Feyre. And I'm like, no, Feyre. So Feyre's dead, but like it like explains that Feyre's like holding on barely, seeing through the eyes of Ryson. And basically Ryson like convinced everyone to like revive her, all the High Lords that were under the mountain, because basically all the High Lords were under there, and he's like, please help her, like she helped everyone. And so they like all revive her, and then she's a fairy, not just any kind of fairy, she's a high fae. And I'm just like, fuck yes. So everyone's free, like the curse is broken, and they're all going home. Yay! Great end to the story, right? But then they're like heading home, and then Rice like looks at her weird, and he's like, a look of shock or something's on his face, and then he disappears. And she's like, okay, weird. So now she's back at the spring court, traumatized as fuck, as a high fairy, And that's where the book ends. I can't even imagine reading this book and then having to wait for the second one to come out. Like, that is so crazy to me. But let's get into some characters now. Tamlin. Dude, I don't know if I like him or hate him or what. In the first book, I'm just like, I could see how she would fall in love with him. She's probably like, I don't know, she was only with Isaac, that human guy, and she really didn't like him. They were only like fuck buddies, which is fine. But also, if he's like the first one to like give her attention, the first one to like love her, like whatever. But I don't know how she didn't fall in love with Lucian. Like, come on. I don't know. Maybe if Lucian had been nicer to her, it would have been such a good plot twist, but it didn't happen that way, so she's with Tamlin. I would have fallen in love with Lucian. I'm a team Lucian. I love Lucian. But whatever. Her not getting any help from Tamlin under the mountain really, really fucking pissed me off. And the only time that Tamlin had to, like, talk to her, like, the only time that Tamlin and her were alone together, like, Tamlin got away from Amarantha, all he did was kiss her. Like, bro, get her out of there. He didn't even try to, like, make her escape. You know what I mean? He did nothing to help her. All he did was kiss her, and then Rhysand came in, and he's like, what the fuck? And then he kissed her, and Amarantha saw it, and it pissed her off. You know, it was kind of weird. I don't know. So I don't know, Tamlin, I don't know if he's gonna win my heart back later in the series. Like, I read the series already, but, like, I don't remember a lot of it. That's why I'm rereading it. And that's why I'm making this podcast, so I can just listen back and see my opinions on it. You know, I am a big fan. I really love this shit. Rhysand, I'm interested to talk about him in book 2. He's my favorite. There's a lot of theories about him, though, that make me nervous. Make me kind of nervous. I'll talk about that in a separate episode. But I just get kind of nervous. Like, I just hear rumors, and I'm just like, I don't need to think about my guy that way. I love Rhysand. I can't wait to talk about the second book. I can't wait to have my podcast out. Hopefully you subscribe. I want people to listen, and I want to hear your comments. I will reply. I love talking about this shit. I don't have a lot of friends to talk about this with, and I'm trying to get my brother and sister to read these books. They're younger than me, but not that much younger. I'm like, come on, guys. Get on this train with me. I love this shit. I'm a big fan of, like, House of Dragon and Game of Thrones, and they've all watched that. I'm like, why can't you just read this book? It is so good. And also, I saw a TikTok earlier today that Margot Robbie met with, like, Sarah J. Maas, and I'm like, are they discussing? Because Margot Robbie has, like, her own production company, apparently. I'm like, are they discussing something? And can it please be through HBO? We need those spicy scenes. You know, it's crazy to say. But also, I have them in my mind, envisioned as, like, the most good-looking people ever. Like, who are you gonna find for that? They have to be new actors out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Just some randos. Because there is no actors right now out there who can be Rhysand, who can be Cassian. There's, like, no young ones who could do that. I'm sorry, I said it. You would have to really, like, find good new actors and, like, sky launch their career through HBO. That would be so sick. Because if Netflix picks up the series, bro, not to say that Netflix is bad, because I love Stranger Things, but also, bro, come on. Like, Hulu, you're gonna make ACOTAR? Are you kidding? I'm probably gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna get canceled for saying that, but, like, that's just my hot take on that. It has to be HBO. Because the level of spiciness and the action, and it just has to be good. This is such a good story, you know? It deserves the time, the costumes, it deserves it. It deserves to get filmed overseas. It deserves the beautiful, like, landscapes. It deserves it. It deserves HBO Game of Thrones treatment. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's where I'm saying, that's my stance on A Court of Thorns and Roses. I would rate this book a 6 out of 10. Yep, out of the whole series, a 6 out of 10. I will be back soon with Court of Wings and Ruin. Or, what is the second one? A Court of Mist and Fury. A Court of Mist and Fury. Yeah, this will probably release tomorrow, honestly. Like the second one. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. Please subscribe. Yeah, this is fun. Please leave your comments. I want to know what you think. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, I will make an episode on it. This is just for fun for me. I've always wanted a podcast, so here's me shooting my shot. And I like talking about things I love, so this is fun. I'm excited. Yeah, so keep an eye out for the next episode, I guess. Thanks guys. Bye.